2023 has definitely been an interesting year for the theme park industry. You've had many different coasters open across the world. Closer to home, you've had Mandrill Mayhem, which is the world's first B&M launched wing coaster with shuttle elements and spikes and I don't even know. You've had a new generation stand-up roller coaster being produced, and even a wooden roller coaster with a spiral lift hill. But over in Spain, at Portaventura World, a brand new roller coaster has opened this year, named Uncharted, El Enigma de Penitence. I messed that up completely. Either way, it is an indoor roller coaster that is situated in the far west area of the park, and my god, is it a unique ride system. And you know what, as much as it doesn't really link, but it also sort of does, considering Alton Towers are getting something potentially similar in the form of Project Horizon, we still don't know yet. It might be just a wacky one. But considering that, the fact it's brand new, and the fact I literally just got home from Portaventura and I rode it, why not make a video and do a review of this ride? And I've got to say, it's an interesting experience for the right and wrong reasons. As always, if you do go on to enjoy this video and you want to see more content just like this, then please be sure to subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Uncharted at Portaventura. I'm just going to call it Uncharted because what's the point in saying the full name every time? Let's begin. The ride is located, as said, in the far west area of the park. You can see this massive warehouse building, but it is of course not a warehouse building. Can you imagine you just walk into a far western themed area? It's like, wow, look at all these western shops. I can buy some cowboy hats here. Why is there a warehouse? But no, they've plastered these lovely looking rocks all the way around the outside, even around the back as well, which obviously they haven't done the roof, but you hardly ever see that roof unless you're about 60 feet tall. But when we first heard it was going into the far west area, it was sort of like, how the hell is that going to fit? But that definitely fits perfectly in that spot. It looks very realistic. You can just about picture a face in the rocks, which I'm pretty sure I overheard someone say it looks like Michael Jackson. Loads of cacti, and then obviously you've got this big hut or mine entry, I'm not too sure what it is, directly in the middle, which has loads of little barrels in the sort of underhang section beneath it. It then has the entrance to the shop, and of course that is your entrance to the ride itself. The two queue lines enter there. So before you actually go inside the building, there is a slight queue line outside under some canopies, you know, so it's quite shaded, it's quite nice, you're out of the sun, and then there's this little stretch that goes towards that building, and you're just in the blazing heat. It hurts. And alongside that section in the sun, there is a restriction board, which above it, the queue time is actually to the precise minute, which makes no sense. And my favourite part is the world's first element on this ride, and that is the fact it has Wi-Fi. The ride system itself has Wi-Fi as you go around. You can browse the internet. You can subscribe whilst you're on the ride. Oh, Jesus. Talking of world's first, this is your world's first spoiler warning. There is going to be spoilers inside from this point on.
Si no quieres spoilers, deja el video ahora mismo. Gracias.
You enter through that main hut section into the indoor queue line, and this indoor queue line is going to last quite a while. This isn't just one cattle pen in itself, it's actually themed cattle pens. So you know, you go through little buildings and then you end up in like caves and stuff, and it does a few more. Like, it's actually really well themed in the queue line. The theming even goes to having animatronics, there's different effects, screens, loads and loads of stuff to do whilst you're in that queue, and loads of stuff to look at, I guess. There are some really cool set pieces in that queue line though. I'm a big fan of that. The same can't be said for the actual ride itself, but we move. After endless amounts of indoor queuing, you finally enter the station, and that place is well themed too. And this is where, of course, the ride really begins, and the theming seems to stop. The coaster itself, of course, is an Intamin Multi-Dimensional coaster, much like what we are really hoping to get inside Project Horizon at Alton Towers. It only has 3 trains that load 12 people each, which obviously is not great. That's where operations is just non-existent at that place. But this time there's no fast track, so it becomes unfair for main queuers because there's actually a single rider line as the separate queue. Obviously it depends how many odd groups are going on the ride, so it may move slow, it may move fast, but it is honestly very useful for re-rides and obviously maximising guest throughput, and also for single riders, quite clearly. You're seated in 3 rows of 4, and then you dispatch. And that's when you enter your first little show scene. After you do some S-bends that wobble, wibble, wobble, you're in a really well-themed cave surrounding you, and then there's this little section that's lit up with loads of props and a man with an RPG. He speaks some Spanish, and then he shoots the train with an RPG, and the train spins round. Yes, this ride is technically a spinning coaster. Not really. You know, just drifting side to side. Is that bit really cool? Yes. Does the theming continue after that scene? No. You spin round twice after that shot, and then you head into where my first criticism lies. There's a small dip down into your first launch, which is literally a quick launch up to the right, and you're back into another show scene, but this time it's just a screen. Nothing else. Just a screen. And it sounds cool because the screen could genuinely make you feel like you're in some underground cave, but you literally can see switch tracks and everything underneath you. You can see previous parts of the ride or forthcoming parts of the ride. There's no rocks around the edge of the screen or rocks around you to sort of feel like you're in a cave. You're just watching a projection. It just feels like such wasted potential. And then suddenly the track has already switched beneath you and you're off on a sideways drop. And this is one of the things that I knew about before I went on it. I tried to stay out of spoilers as best I could. I was like, no, I don't want to be spoiled. I load up the website, it comes up with Uncharted and says a one-of-a-kind sideways drop. Thanks, Portaventura.com. You slowly descend down sideways, which is quite a cool feeling, you know. And then you spin round slightly to face the track again as you launch into a spike. And that spike is also quite cool because you're facing straight upwards and then you plummet back down. But as you plummet down, it spins again. So you're sort of sideways once again. There's a lot of spinning and sort of misdirection on this ride. I can't really explain it. But you'd think in that entire sideways drop to launch to spike and then back again section, there would be a lot of theming. There's probably a smoke effect in there that lights it up green, and that's about it. Because the rest of it is literally warehouse building on the sidelines. No, why? You literally could have put some cheap rock wallpaper on it and it would have been better. You can literally see the metal cladding. And the funny thing is, no one will ever see that on the POVs because it just looks like darkness, whereas you can actually see it in real life. Either way, as said, you spin round back to sideways, go through that launch sideways, and then back up past the screen, up again, and then you enter some more of the layouts, which has an airtime moment in it. Oh. There's like some flashing bats, I think they were, that flash up just above your head, which is cool, I guess. There's a couple more turns, another 2 launches that are in there as well, and then you enter what is probably my favourite part of the ride. The end. The finale, should I say. The end sounds like it just ends right there and that's my favourite part. No, you know what? The finale. You're pretty much sideways to the track and you're looking right at a screen where they throw something up to what you can presume is something in the air, and then you look above you and there's a helicopter that is literally that close to detonating. The train starts moving as it's about to detonate. It spins round backwards, so you go down what feels like a near vertical drop backwards. The explosive goes off on the helicopter and you plummet all the way back down. And that bit, you know what? That's a highlight. Very good part of the ride. It genuinely felt like an on-ride movie scene. It was that epic. There's a little backwards hop into the brakes and then you spin round and there's like people congratulating you like, well done, you've just been on a roller coaster. You spin back forwards and you're into the station. Yes, that's all that happens on the ride. It's not very long. Considering it costs like 26 million or something, I thought it would have been a bit longer. And whilst you're exiting, you do pass through the shop, which is actually a really nice shop with some really good merchandise in it. I really wanted a t-shirt, but I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot to buy one. But there's some great stuff in there. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting ride. I mean, I have sat here and slated the theming more so than the ride system because I think that ride system by Intamin is absolutely amazing. The 5 launches they've packed into there, the spike, the backwards, the spinning, and especially that bit at the end with that near vertical drop. All of that stuff is amazing. Because yeah, if you're going off ride system alone, this is one of the most unique rides in Europe. It's just, I feel like they spent all the budget on the queue line and area more so than they did the actual ride theming itself. For now though, if I had to give it a ranking out of 10, what would I give it? Well, if it was purely on the theme of the ride, then I'd give it a 2 out of 10. But for what the ride does and the hardware it actually uses and the sort of queue and facade and how it fits into that area, as much as I'm not a fan of the theming on ride, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I'm not too heavily fussed about theming. I prefer the thrill of a roller coaster, so that hardware has it for me. That's why it's a 6. It probably would be lower for a lot of people, but there we go. I definitely recommend to go out and try it for yourself if you haven't already, although I wouldn't be in a rush to try it because it's not world class, but it's still really fun and it's really unique to have in Europe. I'd say rush for this big coaster if you haven't been on that. Have you ridden Uncharted? And if so, what did you think of it? Leave it in the comments below and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Gracias.